All right, what's up, everybody? It's been a while since I've done one of these, so we are going to go into ridiculous reviews for a very heavy synopsis channel. What's up? Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. We're gonna kick it off with just a little mental recap of what we just saw with the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Episode 6. Phenomenal. Like, the show has picked up. And I think it benefits from the inclusion of the other characters. I know a lot of people are beefing about, you know, Boba's not in it. Boba doesn't have any lines. Listen, this is the thing for me. I have read books, I've read novels, I've read epics. In Lord of the Rings, the main characters are not always the focus of that chapter. You're not always with Frodo. In various other books, you are not always with the main protagonist. They have to do world building. They have to set the expectation that other moving parts are going to enter the frame soon. So you have to set that up. You have to tell where people have been. You have to tell why other characters are doing what they're doing when they interact with our main protagonist. So, and also, Tamara Morrison said in an interview that Boba would never speak as much as they had him speaking in the beginning. I know Boba's trying to turn over a new leaf, but he's Boba Fett. He's usually behind the mask. He's usually no dialogue. Now he's giving soliloquies. Even Tamara Morrison, the man that, yes, we knew about Boba Fett, but the one that brought him to life as Django and the clones and all of that. This particular clone, this unaltered clone, son of Django, would not do this much talking. And he's trying to turn over a new leaf, so this is uncharted territory. So actually, I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. So, it starts out with a very unusual cameo. It brings back in Cobb Vanth, the true cowboy, the one that started it off by, looking like a not quite Boba. Who that? Who that in that armor? Timothy Oliphant is just made to play a cowboy or a likable ruffian antagonist. He's perfect for that, man. Oliphant killed it. And so, you open him and the Pikes. There's a band of Pikes who are doing a drug deal, basically, in his neighborhood. So he's playing the neighborhood watch. Like, between here and here, that's my stuff. It's my territory, son. Step off or get dealt with. And they decide to get dealt with. Ooh, pop, pop, pop. Sends one back. Like, we're really into all the good tropes of, you're looking at kung fu flicks, karate movies. You're looking at westerns, spaghetti westerns. You're looking at gangster movies and mob movies. We are into those really good tropes now. Leave one to go tell the story. Tells him to leave the box, kicks over the box, and it's a box of spice. Now, it's not lost on anyone that Dune recently came out, and that Star Wars is a less Shakespearean version of the same story, basically. So the spice is the spice, and the spice must flow. So the Pikes say. But the way that Vanth kicks this over, he's got a disdain for it. They even said, this is worth more than your whole town. And he was like, okay, then I guess we'll be all right. Kicks it over, lets it blow into the sands of Tatooine, and we're off and running. I'm just going to hit some really big points, try and touch on a bunch of things, but, in sequential order, but I'm going to hit just the biggest points for me. Din Djarin, the Mando, new car, best car, you know how we do. It's dope to see him flying his ship interstellar, intergalactic, planetary. Shout out to Beastie Boys. He arrives on the planet, the suspected planet where Luke is going to be, because he's looking for Grogu. So as he approaches, it has Octo vibes, which kind of makes sense now that you know that that's where Luke ended up in his seclusion in the sequels. Um, that's that was kind of cool to see the origin of that. Like, it's not quite Dagobah where it's swampy and brown. It was green and full of life. And I think that as much as Luke shut himself off to the Force in the sequels, a place like that gives off so much life that you can still be connected to the Force without showing yourself in it. But that's for another day. Mando arrives. He gets there. And who do we see but R2? So we know who we're going to get. We know who we're going to get. Hopefully. R2 is playing kind of like concierge or front desk. I don't know. Can Mando understand? Is there a translator in a Mandalorian's helmet? Because I suppose with their tech, they can customize their tech. I wonder if he's got a translator, like a droid translator. He hates droids, but he's coming around. These droids are marching around, kind of spider-like droids, which had to bring back some vibes from the Mando season where they dropped into that cave. Woof. They're creating this structure. Now, those with a keen eye will see how it resembles the school that was actually destroyed in the sequels. But this is the vibe. This is the beginning of it, which is really cool to see the origin story of it. They make him a bench. I don't know if R2 talked to one of them, but they made him a bench so he could sit. Basically, he's in the lobby of Jedi Hotel, and he's got to chill out for a bit. So he's sitting there for a minute, because the montage we jump to is Luke. Now, we had a cameo before, but I'm really, really surprised at how close they got the camera angles, how long they lingered on him. The vocal performance was really measured, so that it probably made it easier to map as I'm talking now. That's how he was talking. If he was talking normal speed, it probably would have been difficult to map all the movements with the deep fake. And they actually did use the deep fake guy. I forget guy's name, but after Mando finale season 2, and everybody was still wowed by that, this guy went on and was like, I can do it better. I did this, right here at home. So Disney, in a very Apple move, hired him. They were like, cool, put up or shut up. He put up, because this is phenomenal. So you get Dagobah vibes. You get a little bit of Octo vibes. You see little Grogu going through the paces. Just little things that I enjoyed seeing was the interaction. Little man loves himself some frogs. So, saw that coming. He can't concentrate. You can kind of see he's kind of a restless student. Luke is patient with him, but you can tell he's more testing the vibe than teaching yet. He says later on, I can teach you to become a Jedi. Right now, he's just kind of feeling him out, giving him a place to be safe, which is cool. I'm good with that. Little things jump out. Luke says, come on, let's take a walk. And of course, Grogu's small, so he force lifts him along the way as they're walking. Like every 3 steps, he picks Grogu up and advances him. That was kind of funny. And they played it extra straight. It's comedy, but they didn't play it for comedy, which is cool. There's lessons being taught and things like that. The old training droid comes out. The drone that hovers and shoots lasers. He's trying to get Grogu to jump, and he uses familiar phrasing. You're trying, do, That's really cool to see some of those homages. Obvious fan service, but it fits. When the fan service fits, that makes sense, and that's okay. It's not gratuitous. It's not over the top. It serves the plot and the story. So you see, Grogu is now a student. He's in school. Now, I get Major Dad vibes anytime Mando shows up. Din Djarin is, Din Daddy, Din Papa. As a dad myself, I get that vibe when he shows up, and you drop your kid off for the first day of school, and you want to see him. You want to make sure they okay. You want to make sure there's no bullies. You want to make sure nobody's pulling hair or punching or pushing. You want to make sure they're eating their food. Put your coat on. All these things that I've had to wean myself off of, and I'm not even a helicopter dad. I'm just like, yo, that's my little one. That's my mini, and I hope that she's okay. I got that when Din later. Well, you know what? Let me jump back because another cameo came. As he's laying on his bench, something startles him. He pops up. You know him. He's always with the gun. He keeps the gun under the pillow. And it's Ahsoka. I did not see that one coming. I did not see that one coming. That was real cool. Extra cool to see her. Her performance is as good as ever. She is Ahsoka Tano. Ashley Eckstein, no disrespect, but as they bring these things into live action, oh my goodness. The only one was Bo-Katan. She embodied it in both, and that's a rare occasion. But uh, Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka, and I can't wait for her show. But again, what it shows is that they have a very unique and clever way to bring in the connective tissue that is creating this shared universe, the Filoniverse, if you will. They are doing it in a subtle way, again, that serves the plot and the overall story. These stories are more anthology than they are individual shows. Of course, they have their own titles, but they're all chapters in one big book. So, like, the book of Boba Fett is a volume in this overarching story that is a Star Wars story. I think that, the TV shows can now sit side by side with, like, a Rogue One or a Solo. Don't say anything. Solo was fun. It may not have been the blockbuster, but that suffered from a lot of other things. That movie was fun, mark my words. These are life in the galaxy stories. And I think that, right now it's the book of Boba Fett, and everyone's kind of like, now, because the last few episodes have been world building with the Mandalorian and now Luke and Ahsoka and Grogu, everybody's like, oh, it's the Mandalorian 2.5 or the Mandalorian season 3 episode 2 and 1. Nah, not really, because they still serve the story of the finale that's coming. And then that finale will lead into something else. This was always a chapter in an overarching story. And I personally, what I would do is I would most likely call them the Mandalorian saga. Because this honestly is serving the story of Din Djarin, of Bo-Katan, of Boba Fett, of soon Sabine Wren, and the story of the Mandalorians, and now we've even got the Darksaber floating around. I truly believe that this would be better served as an anthology or a Star Wars story about Mandalorians and their culture and their rise, their fall, and then their disbursement through the galaxy to live somewhat normal lives. Are they going to go back to Mandalore? I don't know. Are they going to do this, that, and the other? Who knows? But that story has these elements are serving that larger story, which I think is cool. I dig it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it all the way. All right, so back to this particular part of the story. Ahsoka is playing it kind of aloof. She's playing it at arm's length. She started out trying to teach Din Djarin about the ways of the Force, about the connection he and Grogu have. As she could read it and as Grogu could share it with her, he would share it with him. That's why she chose not to teach him, because she couldn't be in control of someone else's destiny. He had to make the choice. And at the time, because they were together, he was choosing Din, and he would not go with Ahsoka, and she knew that. She was not going to force that. She saw what happened to Anakin. But can we just? Ahsoka is hanging with the son of her former master. Yo, that's crazy. And she says real cool little quips, little lines like, he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "I'm a family friend." That's sick. I love it. And then later, she looks at Luke and says, "So much like your father." And Luke even says, "Am I gonna see you again?" Like, that's his auntie, yo. If this was my fam, that in my culture, that's Auntie Soka. Like, Auntie Soka, well, you not leaving, are you? Like, when you coming back? That's so vibey. I love it. Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, anyway, back to it. Din has to make the fatherly choice. Again, like sending a kid off to college. They got to be on their own. They got to learn this way. They got to go to this class. They have to be independent. They got to grow up. And so he's like, you know what? Okay. Ahsoka gets to him and makes him understand. And out of love, he's like, I don't want to make it harder on my kid. Just make sure he's protected. If I go up there and this is making it worse on him, that's not what I want. So just make sure he's protected. And he even says at one point, but I came all this way. That hurt. Oh, I felt that. But he does the right thing by his kid. The kid's going to have to make a choice. But he did not interfere. And sometimes that's the better fatherly thing to do. Step up and do for the greater good, not for the selfish reason. Dope. Let's get back to Tatooine. A few really cool things as he's cruising back into town, because we still ain't seen Boba and Fennec yet. That's coming, but these world building episodes are keeping them out in left field. I wish we could have more. I do agree with I forget who said it, but someone who recently reviewed said, Boba could have gone out to see Cobb along with Din Djarin. They would all be familiar. Boba knows the Tuskens, and Cobb had his armor, and there's connective tissue between their stories. He could have gone to give us a little bit more Boba, but neither here nor there. Din is cruising, and I love how they kind of make Tatooine a smaller place. He cruises by and he sees the Jawas who have the crate dragon head on top of their massive machine. That's hilarious. Cool shot. Little flyby. He does a circle like a what's up flyby. Keeps it pushing. Gets to Mos Pelga, which is now called Freetown, as we find out. They changed the name. Good for them. Maybe the Moss is maybe somebody tell me in the comments. The Moss is a Huttese word, perhaps, because they controlled the planet. Mos Pelga, Mos Eisley. They wanted to be Freetown now. Good for them. They go. They have a talk. It's not the smoothest talk. It starts out, Cobb Vanth has a deputy. This deputy gets on my nerves from day one, from moment one. Maybe that was his job, so good job to the actor who played the deputy, but come on, bruh. Like, come on. Causing all types of havoc. And Din didn't know that Cobb had already had a run-in with the Pikes. So it's in there, but like a good Western, they're playing poker. They're playing mental poker, and nobody's showing their hand. At one point, Cobb even kind of references this with a really kind of throwaway line, but I noticed it as a sort of poker face Western line where he says, you think you can get your way because of that smile of yours. Well, of course it's a joke. He can't see the Mando's face. So I thought that was kind of a cool little aside. Um, they part ways. He says, think about it, and thinking about it shall happen. But now we come to a really good cameo. Uh, Hence the title of this one, A Stranger in the Desert. Stranger emerges from the desert. I forget the exact title. This tall, slim silhouette starts walking through. He sees him coming. Being the old Western lawman, being the frontier guy on Tatooine that he is, Cobb says everybody get inside. I don't know what's going down, but just get inside, be safe. So they do, and Cobb stays out there, and then basically assumes the position dead center of the main street of town. This guy rolls up, and you immediately can tell from the breathing tubes on the neck and the hat, before you even see him, that's Cad Bane. What? We got a live action Cad Bane. Oh man, that's trippy. That's trippy. So they do the standoff thing. I honestly think that Cobb Vanth could have held his own. We know that Cad Bane is working with the Pikes. They hired him. Man. That's wild to see Cad Bane in live action. But here come Deputy Boy, trying to be all itchy, trying to be the big man. Cobb's like, just don't, like, chill. Like, he gives him a look like, yo, you're gonna get us both killed out here. And it goes to a showdown. Cobb takes one in the shoulder. I believe he takes one in the shoulder. He got shot somewhere center mass, but the people rushed out of the bar and tended to him. Lit the deputy up. Gave him 4. Pop, 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 pop. Like, lit him up, laid him down, and basically just walked off into the dust. Where was his ship? Where did he even park it? Yo, that was trauma. Yo, trauma. We're back on Jedi planet. And we see the thing that was delivered to Grogu. We anticipated that it was going to be Mithril. Beskar Mithril. Shouts out to Lord of the Rings. Second reference, what up? He gave him some chainmail. Beskar chainmail. Dope. That in this little package, for that little body, he gave him Mandalorian armor, but in a way that he could wear it and grow into it. It looked a little bit long. He can wear it. He gave him Beskar chainmail. So for now, if he does choose to stay as both a foundling and a Padawan, which Auntie Ahsoka mentions that, as a foundling and a Padawan, he's shared custody in both worlds. Din needs this foundling to be protected. He deserves this armor as a foundling because that's what they do. Din has done that from moment 1 of his own show in The Mandalorian. As he's recovering Beskar, he's making sure that the foundlings are taken care of. The money, all of that, he's a good team player. And I think that's why he wanted to help Boba. He sees Boba as part of his wider cohort. So now Grogu has Mandalorian armor in a unique form, which will come in handy if he does stay as a Jedi, because it can protect against lightsabers. Crazy, though, that Luke then produces a bit of a retcon. He produces Yoda's lightsaber and is going to gift it to Grogu. He even lights it up and says, I want to give this to you, but you have to make a choice and you can only choose one. Now, as much as it's good to see Luke as the character, when you get inside the story, Luke is still operating on some flawed logic and some flawed feelings. Luke is action packed with attachment issues, but also the ultimatum of making someone choose when in actuality they could be both. So it's interesting. And that's where it ends. It's interesting that that's the choice that was made, or the choice that was given. I personally think that Grogu is going to end up with Din because there is a lot of trauma. There is a lot of feelings and emotions and attachments. And instead of fighting that, I can see Grogu wanting to be safe and comfortable, wanting to be happy versus challenged. It's mentioned that, Luke says, is his heart in it? I don't know. He's remembering this stuff, more so remembering it than me teaching it. So we haven't even really gotten to the point where he's a Jedi Padawan. It's still probing right now. And the feeling is, the vibe is, Grogu's a Mandalorian foundling. I still think he deserves his lightsaber. Who else is going to use that? But this episode was mind-blowing. It was fantastic. There was a little war room scene, a little couple minutes where Fennec Shand was doing a lot of talking to set up, the scenario, and that they're trying to amass forces to create their own resistance. Resistance. A good theme in Star Wars. But I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad that they were in it just a short time. Again, these are the setup stories in this chapter of a wider anthology of stories that are the Mandalorian saga. I know that the finale is going to be gangbusters. It's going to be wild. It has to be. We also have a huge collection of Bad Batch material going on in this show with Fennec, with Cad Bane, the clones. Are we gonna get Omega? Are we gonna get Boba's sister? I mean, you got two bounty hunters who directly were chasing this unaltered clone, the last unaltered clone of Jango Fett, Omega. They're both here in the show. Jango's son, first clone, is in the show. Come on, y'all. Like, I know everybody's talking about Han Solo and all of this. I still think Han Solo is off because it's too muddy right now between Ehrenreich and Harrison Ford. And I think Ehrenreich did a good job. He got Harrison Ford's blessing. And if you go back and watch Solo, a lot of them mannerisms he got right. Star Wars was not riding high when that movie was released. If Solo came out right now with the height that the Mando and Book of Boba Fett and the recent Star Wars properties are have us at, I think Solo will be viewed completely differently. And why do I keep referencing Solo? Everyone is talking about Harrison Ford showing up. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that they can bring Solo back in, that character of Han Solo back in, without the muddiness of Ford or Ehrenreich. And everybody's talking about the deep fake that happened, but the actor that played Luke was not Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill did the voice. And yes, it was his likeness mapped onto this face. Do they really think that Harrison Ford is going to be the one to stand in? No, he might be the voice. And you might be able to deep fake his face. But who are you going to get? Get Ehrenreich. Anyway, the other reason I keep bringing up Solo, and this is going to end it, Kira. Who's running the Pikes? The Pikes are good drug runners, but the Pikes are not kingpin leaders. They are henchmen, if you will, in the canon so far. So who's running the pikes? Crimson Dawn? I mean, the armorer has the horned helmet, and she was a member of now the Watch, this fundamentalist sect of Mandalorianism that broke off. She bears the horns, and many of Death Watch had horned helmets in homage to the brief period when, come on, man, y'all already know where I'm going. You already know where I'm going. Maul, Death Watch Mandos, Crimson Dawn, Kira, Solo, Tatooine. 6 degrees of separation is crazy. It's like down to 2 degrees of separation between everybody. Oh, let us get Omega. That's all I'm saying. Kira would be dope. That would bring in more underworld gangsterism. I'm alright with that. Soon we'll be doing this. I'll get it on screen. We'll do some official watch reactions. Shouts out to my partner, Make It Plain Wayne. The other half of a VHS. Very heavy synopsis. Check us out. Stick with us. Come back. Comment and do a lot of that talking down in the comment section. We got lots to discuss and we love it. All right. We appreciate y'all. Peace.